Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Let's take a look at our linebacker results for a 12-team IDP mock draft. This mock draft was with regular players involved. The scoring rules was every 3 total tackles that you had, you got 2 points. Each sack was 2 points. Interception was 3 points, forced fumble 3 points, and so on there. So again, like I've been saying with the other podcasts, this wasn't necessarily a tackle heavy league for sure, and it did tend to be more of a big play league, but not really as rewarding as you might like to see. Just kind of right in the middle. I had the first pick for myself, and I wanted to make sure to see that I could get Patrick Willis in this thing, so I stretched and way too high. I took him in the 5th round, early 5th round, so I had the first pick, so that was coming back up and down. But, that's something that I drafted him there, and I also wanted to stress a point for the purposes of the podcast and the mock draft that, these are things that you have to think about if you're on the corners of any draft that you're in. Doesn't matter if it's standard or PPR or IDP. If there is a particular player that you think is special and you really do like, although I don't always recommend that you do that. Shouldn't be too stuck on a certain player, but if you really do think that's the right guy for you, which, hey, every fantasy owner falls victim to having those type of things at certain points of every single draft they're pretty much in, and I know that through the 20 years I've been doing this stuff. Patrick Willis, you're going to have to make that decision because there were IDP players that start getting taken off the board after that. 5th, 6th, when you're coming back, especially 12 teams, you're probably not going to get Patrick Willis in there if you didn't go and get him at that point in time. So I wanted to get him there, and you may have to stretch to get him a little bit higher, especially if you're on the top end, to get a player of that kind of caliber. But there wasn't another linebacker in this draft actually until the 8th round that went, and that's, I think, in a lot of part is because you're only getting 2 points for every 3 tackles in this type of league. So keep those things in mind with the linebackers. A lot of times you're going to be in a tackle-heavy league where you're getting more for the solo tackles and things. It definitely does matter to you what the rules are for you, and that's why I stress the rules when I'm talking about this podcast. If you weren't able to see the players that were selected here in the rounds that they went in, it's probably because you're on YouTube or a podcast where you can't see the actual article. Just go, there should be a link right there next to this, and click on that, and it'll take you to the article page. So I'm sorry for that, but there's only so much we can put up in certain places where we're putting this information out at.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football with your free subscription.